anticipating one. Yo guys, what's up? What's up? What's good? How you guys doing? Welcome again to another segment of Gospel Life News. In case you missed it, my name is Daki, and I'm happy to be in your faces again. You can spell my name as DARKIEE. I love you guys so much. Thank you for your time, energy, consistency. Want to say a big thank you to you guys. You guys have been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, you guys have just been so sweet so far. And all of that. I want to say a massive thank you to you guys. In the meantime, you can now stream us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the time. Please come through. We are waiting for you in that space. The weekend was weekending because we saw Davido and WIZKID after a whole long talk of this guy come back or not or this or that. We saw them live and direct together in the same space, dancing, hugging each other, loving each other up, even giving money out together. Trust me, that was the highlight of the weekend. Davido and WIZKID, it's always a beauty to be able to see these guys together because they are the biggest guys so far, and they've come through. We've seen them on a couple of multiple occasions. At the point we saw where they had like a black chalk thing on their face, where their picture went viral at the time, the two good pictures, and now we're seeing them live and direct together at an event where they went there and they stormed the space with their bromance. Trust us, Nigerians, Africa, the world was happy to see that these two giants are together. Maybe, just maybe, we could have a collaboration from these two anytime. So, but all of these, I'll bring them to you in a bit. Tiwa Savage splashed about £1.2 million for something. Also, I'll bring that to you in a bit. We're going with Burna Boy. We saw Burna Boy, Lil Dog, Jeko, and Burna Boy All My Life remix have just surpassed 5 million streams on Spotify. At the same time, we saw Burna Boy Giza, the video for Giza, which he featured Chey Vibes, have just surpassed 1 million views on YouTube. And for Burna Boy, his streams always begins like this. And then before you know it, you're checking back again. You're seeing 20 million, 40 million, 50 million, maybe 100 million. So the countdown has just begun. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy, I told them about, I've just surpassed 280 million streams on Spotify, and that is an amazing one for Burna Boy. He is doing good numbers with this album, and you cannot but say that he made a classic on the I Told Them project. Moving on, we saw amidst the Davido WIZKID Bromance, Burna Boy had this to say, and then he came out to say, "My grandma used to be the one crying for me to come back home. Now she's on the edge every time I come back home and is already asking when I'm leaving. That is why I made thanks. I am rolling only with her this December for peace to reign." So he's saying, after David and Burna Boy, after David and WIZKID linked out, he's saying, for me, I'm not linking out with any other person but just my grandma so that peace can reign. Is Burna Boy throwing shit here? Maybe or maybe not. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy while performing on his tour. We saw where one of the fans gifted him a package, and Burna Boy happily received that and gave it to his team. It just shows that this guy relates with his fan even while performing. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy flying from London to Lagos for the Christmas holiday, and like I said, it's going to be a big one because we know the three goats are now in Lagos. Burna Boy, Davido, WIZKID are currently in Lagos. December is about to begin, and like I always tell you guys, December will always be the same beat at the time. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy linking out with his grandma, and then gifted a lot of goodies from handbags to packages and all of that. So Colin said she's always asking him when he's leaving, but this time he has gone the route of spoiling her and giving her a lot of gifts at the time. I recall that just last week we saw Burna Boy also gifting allegedly Steph London a Rolls Royce collection at the time. People said they're back together, so it just shows that maybe Burna Boy is on that spree where he gets to give people things and all of that. But regardless, it's beautiful to see Burna Boy back home in the country. Moving on, we have Davido as the next guy on the news. After doing tours in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, we saw the Timeless on the beach. The team have come out to say we're going to be giving out 3,000 free tickets for the famous cinema if you purchase a VIP ticket for the Timeless Landmark Beach Concert. This is an approach to making sure that they sell out the tickets, and then we hope that people will key into this at the time. Moving on, we saw in Luxembourg, Chris Brown sensational with Davido and Lojay currently sit at number 88. At the same time, we saw for New Zealand, Chris Brown sensational with Lojay and Davido sit at 70 on their weekly YouTube charts. And talk about the UK YouTube weekly charts, the song sit at 64 on YouTube. Moving on, we saw Davido and WIZKID linking out in the club, and then we saw all the bromance. It looked like they've been stabbing of each other for a while, and then we saw them almost getting into each other's bodies. We saw WIZKID hugging Davido, whispering his ears almost every second. Davido was doing likewise. They actually were loving themselves at the time, and the Nigerians, it was a ceasefire moment because WIZKID and 30, I mean FC and 30BG guys are always logged against each other, but now this is a ceasefire moment because we now know that these guys are really not fighting. We saw DJ Tunes coming out to explain how the link up. Saturday, then he said Davido came to him, that's OBO, and then he said he wanted to see WIZKID, where is WIZKID? And DJ Tunes said he was the one who took OBO. He said he knew where WIZKID was, and then he took OBO to meet WIZKID. And then he's saying maybe the industry is going to be going agog when they finally come through with a collaboration and maybe a joint world tour. Regardless, whatever they decide to drop, we are all going to consume them because it is WIZKID and Davido, and they are worth all of that. Moving on, we saw DJ Tunes with Davido when he was taking Davido to meet WIZKID at the time, and WIZKID was saying somewhere at an event, and Davido walked up there, and the bromance began from that moment, and they enjoyed the company at the time. We saw Davido leaving the space where he was going alongside his aides, Lati, and then we saw where one of the fans was trying to prostrate or bow down to Davido, and Lati did not understand what was going on, but instead Lati had to give the guy a slap. And that's making the round because Davido 8 at the time gave somebody a slap for trying to encroach into their convoy while walking. Moving on, we saw Davido yesterday was at Puma store in Port Harcourt where they were launching their Puma franchise in Port Harcourt, the DMW franchise, and then we saw Davido arriving there earlier before his tour commenced in Port Harcourt. We saw Davido linking out with the former state governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, just when I was in Abuja, and they had an amazing time together. And just while performing, we saw Davido seeing a lady who was vibing. Davido said, "I love your vibe. Please come on stage." And then she came on stage, and Davido said, "I'm going to bless you. With the power confined in me, I'm going to give you." The crowd was saying, 2 million, 1 million. $1 million, 2 million, but Davido said, "No, I'm going to give you 5 million naira because I can and I can do it at the time." And trust me, we saw where he said Lati should settle and Lati gave her the money in dollars, and the lady received that happily because she went back to the crowd. Davido always has a way of making people smile every festive period. Moving on, we saw Davido trying to create peace in Rivers State where he said, I see Sim Fumbara, that's the present governor of His Excellency Sim Fumbara, the present governor of Rivers State, and then he said, "I see Wiki," and that's the just immediate past governor of Rivers State, the present minister of Federal Capital Territory Minister. We saw where he said, "They both see me. Rivers love OBO." So basically, I linked up with the initial governor and the present governor as though they are presently looking like they're fighting, talking about Wiki and Fumbara. But Davido is saying, I saw both of them, they see me, and they all love OBO. Could this be a peace statement? Let's wait and see what the coming days look like. Moving on, we have WIZKID, the freshest guy, always looking fly and fresh. So we have him on the next guy on the nails. We saw WIZKID linking out with Dako on the evening the day, and that's the same event where him and Davido linked out. And then we saw Dako chilling with WIZKID at the time, and that must have been a pleasant moment for Dako at the time. And then we saw WIZKID's wife talking about Jada P cruising around Lagos with WIZKID Maybach vehicle. And then we saw all the fans couldn't stop chanting her name at the time, Jada P, Jada P, Jada P. And that must have been something she could not get off her mind because we saw her staring at the people in admiration because she loved the moment at the time. Obviously, Jada P is enjoying the country even more than ever. Moving on, we saw Tiwa Savage splashing about £1.2 million for an apartment in the UK. And trust me, Tiwa Savage has just outdid herself in the UK. And this is a pleasant Christmas gift for herself. And this is her first apartment in the UK. And they're splashing about £1.2 million. That's about 1.5 billion naira for an apartment. It just shows that she has had an amazing year so far. And then this is what the apartment looked like. The interior is giving, and we saw everything giving what it should give. And once again, we say congratulations to Tiwa Savage on that one. Finally, we saw the Jazzy speaking on the Zero Condition podcast, and then he came out to say he was asked what he thinks about Davido and all of that, and then he said he has always known David to be somebody who would blow up, and then he said at the point when he was just beginning, he told him that or he tweeted where he said David was going to be the best producer even after him at the time, and because he knew Davido was a producer when he began because he produced back when at the time. And then he also spoke about how he gave Davido the name Timeless for the album. He said after he said he told he wrote the video and then he said the album you're working on should be called Timeless, and then they left it at that, and then he said after the album came out and then he saw Timeless and then it was like okay, but then he didn't want to fly and say he didn't want to, so I said you don't want to bend your English means like you don't want to be too forward at the time, and then he said they reached out to him and said Baba, did you see the album, it's called Timeless, and then he said oh yeah I saw it, but I just didn't want to be too forward at the time. And then he said he was grateful that Davido could hold him to high esteem because he also mentioned that if Davido stops singing to Dave, it won't make him not to be Davido. He will still be rich, he has a private jet and all of that. But then Davido still singing shows that he has consistency. He loved the game, he loved the work, he loved the energy he put into it, and that is why he has much respect for Davido in the game. My name is Daki. I'll come to your faces with more news towards midday. Take care of yourself and have a nice day at work or whatever you're doing.